Alright folks, here we are. It's the second Blue Cup. It's the STC, the Sim Racing Team Challenge. This is your friendly voice, Eckhard von Glan, and say hello to my co-commentator today, to Mikael Helland. Hello, Mikael.
Hello, Eckhard, and all you guys listening out there.
And I bet that David Garcia is also with us today. David, are you in?
Yeah, for sure. I could not miss this event, Eckhard.
And David, if I'm not mistaken, you are the guy who's doing the pace car today, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I will take care of it today. I will try to do it as well as Mikael did it last time.
Alright, so we're in the Super Pole qualification, and Jose, our trusted cameraman, is with us as well. And Jose, tell us what car we are following at this point.
Well, we're with Damian Dainhumain, that made the fastest lap in the practice session. Let's see if he can repeat it in the qualifying. That is the really important.
Yeah, so let's hit the action straight away. It's Damian Dainhumain here, and he's right now going on to the start and finish straight. And if I remember correctly, Mikael, he won the first race, didn't he?
That is correct, Eckhard, and he did it in big style, so he had quite a big gap.
Yeah, so that was the GT Sports race last week that unfortunately couldn't be broadcast, but as you can see on your screen, we're with you today. And while Damian is on his quick lap here, let's quickly talk about the different teams, and let's talk about the Blue Cup as such. And the Blue Cup is around for the second time. We did the first Blue Cup about a year ago. And it was an initiative of my home team, of the Blue Flag Racing team. We actually wanted to set into motion a tournament where the team spirit would be more important than the individual driver. Now, the first Blue Cup was really kind of a success, and many people, especially the guys over at the Black Rebels, thought it was a great idea, and so Jose and David picked up on this idea, and also all the other Rebels, and they set into motion the process that would launch the ETC, the European Team Challenge, which we also followed on PSR TV. That was the last season. Now here we are at the start of the second season of the Blue Cup, and it's the first season of the Sim Racing Team Challenge, because we have changed to a more wider venue. We've also got one American team on the grid, that's the Torrent Motorsports, and also other teams have some roots, let's say, or some connection across the Atlantic. Now, as we see Damian Dainhumain here pitting in after his hot lap, maybe Mikael can rush off to the time screen and tell us about the time that he set. Mikael, could you do that for us?
Yeah, sure. What we saw from the beginning was Damian. He went the fastest lap at 1:41.257 and just got beaten by Tim Hogendoorn on a 1:41.191. So that's the two first guys, and also Mike Simian in third place at the moment, and he's on a 1:41.4. So it's quite tight up there.
Well, that was the big battle we expected. Dainhumain, Hogendoorn, and Mike Simian, they've all proven, they've all shown that they are absolutely fast and perfect racers. So it looks as if we have a big three-way battle at the front today. That would be then the team GMT-DHR, or DH Racing. That would be Damian Dainhumain's brand, and then Mr. Hogendoorn from the Netherlands. He's racing for the Burning Tires Rebels. That's a mixed team of the Burning Tires and the Black Rebels. And then Mr. Mike Simian, he of course is for the Yellow and Black Racers of the team Flat Out. Jose, tell me please, what car are we following at this point on the video screen?
Well, we are with Mike Wrightson from DHR Fanatec. It's a new team. It's the junior team of GMT-DHR racing, and let's see how they go in this first season. Their mother team is really powerful. I expect them to be very fast as well.
Yeah, so do I. And also, I think, if I remember correctly, in the first race, didn't they put in the second place performance there, the racer who was in second, behind Damian Dainhumain?
Yeah, in general, it seems like GMT-DHR has an incredible roster of drivers, so they can come here with two teams prepared to fight for the win, and that's good for the competition, but can be a problem between them also.
Yes, but watching the first race, I noticed absolutely nothing like, teamwork between them in the kind of way that we sometimes saw it back in the Formula One, and it was just sheer competition out there on the virtual track. And so for the viewers at home, this is definitely going to be very interesting to watch the junior teams. We in fact have two junior teams. There's the Flat Out Junior team that is also called then the Flat Out Juniors. They're here today with Kevin Clark and Simon Walker. So for those of you who followed the last season, these are two new names on the grid. And as we just said, Team GMT-DHR or DH Racing, they have their junior team, and it's called DH Racing Fan Attack. And also they're using a different make of a car. Yes, please.
Yeah, guys, we have a new from the track. I think it will be a four-way battle in the front. Eckhart. We have Cristian Haba in the pole now.
Oh wow, that's the defending champions, the Roaring Pipes Maniacs, and we know that they have a huge roster of extremely talented players as well. So it's Cristian Haba for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs in the pole right now, and here we were, all set and ready to have another Damian Dainhumain show, but it's turned out to be a four-way race at the top, so that's going to be very, very exciting. Mikhail, anything that you see happening either in the timing screen or in the grids or on the track?
Yes, in fact there is. As Jose just said, or David, maybe it was, Cristian Haba just took the first place. And the amazing thing is that the time is quite a big gap. From first position to the second is 0.5 or maybe even 0.6 seconds, and that's quite big.
It most certainly is. That is a huge gap in sim racing.
Yes, well, maybe it's because the fuel weight, or I have been following Cristian Haba's lap. I have seen the complete lap, and I was thinking that he was having problems, or overseeing problems. But at the end, the Koenigsegg is a monster. It's very fast, and he have managed to make this gap.
Yeah, so it's also different brands of virtual cars up there in front. So it's the Koenigsegg for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. It's the same trusted ride that they had last year, the Aston Martin for the GMT-DHR. And for the team Flat Out, Mike Simian, if I remember correctly, that's an Audi, isn't it?
That is correct, Eckhart.
So that'll also be interesting to see the different virtual cars here, because as we know, in a good sim, as GTR Evo is one, they have different physical or, virtual physical properties, and so they all should behave slightly different on the track, and people, for example, will take slightly different lines through the curves here at Watkins Glen. Talking about Watkins Glen, Jose, I know you have a track map prepared for us. Maybe it's a good point to show that to our viewers now so that they know what the track looks like.
It is. In fact, it's not the biggest one, but you can more or less see the track layout.
All right, so we have 12 turns here at Watkins Glen. It starts with the turn number 1 as usual, and it's called the 90 here. For those of you who've played the track, it's got a really a vicious piece of what is probably concrete in real life, light gray stuff, and if you get on that, you can be in quite some trouble if your car goes sideways. Then you're going through a very quick succession of turns, 2, 3, and 4, that's the S's. Then down the back straight, and in the track version that we are using, it's the bus stop chicane. That's a name stolen from Spa-Francorchamps, of course. Then we have turn 6, the inner loop, and after that there's a shorter track turning off, but we're going down the chute, as it's called, towards turn 7. Then we have turn 8, which is a 180-degree turn. That's the toe. And then up again, it's a place called the boot, and then into turn 9 and 10. Turn 10, I must say, for me, is the most scary one, because you have a nice, solid white wall right positioned at the exit of turn 10, so I hope we don't see too many cars going into that wall. Mikhail, have you played this track before?
Well, actually, I've been helping Mehmet and Andreas to set up the cars, so I did quite a lot of laps, actually, lately, and I can only agree with you that turn number 10 is really scary because you get a heavy understeer as it's going uphill and then turn left on the edge, so that wall is really scary. Also the next left-hander is, well, it's really, really hard to get into.
Yeah, tell us some more impressions that you have of the track in general, and also maybe about the way it's been converted here to a simulation racetrack. Do you feel it's one of the better conversions out there?
It is absolutely a very good track. I mean, you have the uphills and downhills, and you also have, it's quite bumpy. I mean, the T1 is really, really hard because if you take it on the inside, like I think most people want to do, you have a big dip in the mid-corner. There's a big chance of spinning. Also, if you go too far on the outside, you will hit the white concrete. It's also very bumpy, and you're going to be off track for a while and lose the speed for the upcoming twisty part, where it's, you can almost call it a straight, but it's turning quite heavily. And, well, it is a very hard track, but I think these guys gonna handle it pretty well, so.
All right, it's only 20 seconds to go. Oh, never mind. We have only 20 seconds to go. In fact, 10 seconds to go now. So let's give you a quick rundown of the results of the qualifying. Cristian Haba, as we said, of Team Roaring Pipes Maniacs in front position, 0.6 of a second away from Tim Hogendoorn. Then number 3, Damian Dainhumain. Number 4, Mikko Korkiakoski. That's the second of the GMT-DHR races. Mike Simian in 5. Christopher Aponte, second RPM racer in 6. Tom Ilsbrooks, fastest flat-out racer in 7. Mike Wrightson in 8. Ryan Mortimer in 9. Mark A. Warmington for Blue Flag Racing in 10, Andreas Hultgren, fastest of the Rebels, in 11, and there goes my timing screen because we've left the qualifying and we're now in the warm-up. But Right, folks, we're back here, and what's still missing is the roundup of the qualification results. I think we got as far as position number 10, Mark A. Warmington for the Blue Flag Racing team. And then in 11, it's the Black Rebels racer, Andreas Hultgreen. In number 12, second of the Blue Flaggers, that's Christopher Larsson. In 13, it's the first of the Flat Out Juniors, if I'm not mistaken, that's Kevin Clark, followed by his teammate in 14, Simon Walker. In 15, it's Monsieur Olivier Herschek, that's for the Team GG, our French friends there, the first of their cars. In 16, the second of the Black Rebels races, that's Mehmet Arslan. In 17, second of the Team GG cars, that's Julien Dufresne. And then in 18, our Portuguese friends, fielding unfortunately only one car today, that's Mario Sousa in 18. And then in 19, second to last on the grid, it's Darren Gardner for Team Aney Racing, and his teammate Nick Carnell we find in position number 20. Team Northern Ireland, we're missing on the grid tonight, so there seem to have been problems, and also our American friends from Team Torrent, Simon Lelouch and co. Unfortunately didn't have a chance to turn up. But we've got 20 cars on the grid, which is, I think, a nice, full and colorful grid. So, the drivers and the race direction is now in the warm-up TeamSpeak session, so they're getting all the latest information on how to behave once the pace car is out, and wherever they can then start the race. So let me put you in the picture. We have a pace car. The pace car will start at the back of the grid, and as you see the start of the race, you will see actually all the cars immobile except for the pace car. That's a blue Seat. The pace car, launched by David Garcia, will then move to the front of the grid. Once it has reached the front of the grid, it'll then proceed at a speed of something like a virtual 120 kilometers an hour around the track. The other cars then, in single file, follow the pace car in an orderly and hopefully nice procession. It worked pretty well in the GT Sports race, so I'm pretty sure it'll work pretty well again today. The pace car then, all the time has its lights switched on. The pace car then switches off the lights and turns into the pit lane entrance. It has pulled away from the leading car a little bit, basically to get out of the way. I think that should happen after turn 10. And then once the pit car has switched off the lights and has disappeared, it means that for driver number one then can set the pace through the last turn. Exiting turn 1, driver number 1 sets the pace and rushes towards the start and finish line. There is no, I repeat, no overtaking allowed before crossing the start and finish line, which means that we have a real battle for T1, but as the sports race showed with most of the racers, they did the start so well that the real battle actually was going up the back straight and then into the bus stop chicane for the first time. That's, folks, where the action is going to be in lap number 2, because lap number 1 is the in-lap here, and then in lap number 2, when the race proper starts, watch out for the fights through the S's and down the back straights. The virtual cars will be loaded with virtual fuel, and I guess most racers will head for a one-stop pit strategy, so they will be pretty heavy. It will be pretty difficult to keep them on the track, and also the tires will be still pretty cold after that only one in-lap that they do, so let's hope that they all get safe and sound, especially through something like turn 10 or turn 7, which is after the shoot. Alright, the TeamSpeak session has finished, I've been told. Everybody has been told what to do, and we now have another 14 minutes of warm-up to pass before we have the start of the race. Right then, while we do the warm-up, let me quickly ask Jose if we have prepared an image of all the team logos, so I can tell you a little bit about the teams that we have in the tournament so far. Jose, are you with me, and do we have the team logos?
ready with it.
Well, here they are then, the team logos, and the defending champions, of course, the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. It's a team that's mainly based in the Netherlands. That's where it was founded by Bram Hengeveld, among others. That's the guy behind, of course, Race Department. And but they have kind of diversified, and they have drivers from different European countries. And also, Christopher Aponte, you see racing tonight, actually hails from Aruba, which is, I suppose, somewhere in the Caribbean. And Christopher put me right if I did a mistake there. And Cristian Haba, if I remember correctly, but maybe somebody puts me right, is a guy from Canada, but I might be mistaken. So the Roaring Pipes Maniacs, they are the defending champions, and they actually picked the track that we are on today, or tonight. They picked Watkins Glen, because the teams that came in, number 1 to 6 in the last tournament, were allowed to pick the tracks that we have, but we'll come back to the tracks in just a couple of minutes. Let's talk about the teams first. So, that's the team, the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. We then, of course, have the Black Rebels in their silver and gold racers. The Black Rebels, basically, they were founded by Ben Buitendijk of the Netherlands again, but it seems that parts of the action at least has moved to Spain with David Garcia and Jose Estrada, who are bringing us this tournament this year again. And but they also have, for example, Mehmet Arslan of Turkey and Andreas Hultgren tonight from Sweden on the grid. So they are really a very European team from all over the place. Then our French friends here, Team GG, the Francophone sim racing team. They're fielding tonight Julien Dufresne and Olivier Herschek. And mind you, if you visit their homepage, which is a very nice homepage indeed, you have to have some French at least to find your way around there. So they really stick to their language, which I think is quite admirable. And then Team GMT-DHR Racing, they joined us in the middle of the last season, and already they very nearly competed for the title, so they are really one of the absolute top teams here. Tonight they field Damian Dainhumain and Mikko Korkiakoski, who, by the sound of it, possibly is from Finland. As we said already, they also field a junior team. They seem to have no end of very, very talented sim racers. That's the team DHR Fanattack. That's one of their team sponsors there that they sport on their virtual rights. And the racers for them tonight will be Mike Wrightson and Ryan Mortimer. Next team up, Team Torrent Motorsports, I've already mentioned. Unfortunately, we don't see their red racers tonight. Basically, it's Simon Malouish and the gang, and they're also into real-life racing. Go visit their actual homepage, Torrent Motorsports. Not so difficult to find on the net, and very interesting stuff that they have there. Then we have the green and gray and touch of gold racers from A&E Racing. That's mainly, I think, a Great Britain or Anglo-centered racing team, and tonight they are fielding Darren Gardner and Nick Carnell, and they were with us last season and putting up a great fight, A&E Racing. Then we have a team that's a mixed team, as we already said, the Burning Tires from Italy. A team consisting solely of Italian drivers, had some difficulties fielding enough drivers for the tournament here, so the Black Rebels decided to help them out and form a joint team. Now, they've been really fortunate in picking up Tim Hogendoorn, who was basically without a team, and he's one of the fastest guys out there. So tonight, for the first time, we have Tim Hogendoorn here in the STC, and the second racer is an original burning tire guy, and he is Alessandro Mura, and we watched him a lot on the track last season. Then it's Team Flat Out in the black and yellow racers. That's Mike Simian, another one of our ultra-fast racers. Remember, we have 4 of these in front. And then Tom Isbrooks, who is always good for a really, really tough battle up towards the front. He was one of the most luckless guys in the last race because he actually blew up his engine, or his engine blew up, whatever the cause was, after having fought his way almost to the top, and he had to then quit the race, I think, in position number 2 or 3. So Tom, I hope you are much more lucky tonight. Then we have Flat Out Junior, Kevin Clark and Simon Walker up there. And from the sound of it, from the sound of the name, I mean, Tom Isbrooks, if I remember correctly, is from Belgium, but it seems that most of the racers then again come from Great Britain, so either Wales or Scotland or England as well. Team Northern Ireland, I'm afraid can't be with us tonight. They had Lawrence Lemon and Kieran McGiffey, sorry, mate, I probably pronounced the second name wrong, listed for tonight, but for one reason or another they can't be with us. And that leaves only my home team, that's the team Blue Flag Racing. We have Christopher Larsson from Sweden, one of our 3 Larssons, and Mark A. Warmington from England, and it's his first race in the STC because he had some technical problems in last season. He could never join, and he's with us tonight, so give Mark A. Warmington a warm welcome here in the STC. Mikael, are you with me?
Yes, I'm back with you.
Oh, that's what I like, a trusted co-commentator. Mikael, just a wild, off-the-cuff guess for a very, very first guess for the championship. Just tell us the 3 teams that you think will be slugging it out for the title most closely, the 3 teams that you think at this very, very early point in the tournament with only 1 race done, the 3 teams that you think will be up front.
Well, looking back to the first season, of course, we have GMT-DHR. They have a lot of great drivers, so they're probably going to be quite even in their performance. So I think they're a big champion contender. And, of course, RPM as defending champions. Well, they also have like Kevin Asher and Christopher Aponte, also now Cristian Haba. And, well, they have a lot of great drivers, actually. And we also have, Flat Out have a few that could really take a win or 2, maybe. So I think it's quite even, the whole field. So it could be anyone, really.
Yeah, that's exactly my opinion too. GMT-DH Racing, I also have put them down as my main favorites, but I agree with you. There's always someone really close on their heels, so it's not going to be like they're going to dominate the field here, especially if you look at tonight's results, and also now in the warm-up we have Cristian Haba in 1, Mike Simian in 2, fielding times here, or posting times of 1:42.3 and 1:42.5 respectively. And then it's Mikko and Damian in 3 and 4, and Christopher Aponte really not far behind, only just 1/10 of a second away from Damian. So if these guys already run at full pace, we are in for a really, really tight race. Right then, before I go on any further, I must tell you all that your trusted voice will be gone now for 2 minutes, because actually I forgot to bring my water, and such is life. I have to quickly jump up now and go and get my water, otherwise my voice will be gone in about 30 minutes. So, Mikael, I'm afraid you'll simply have to take over from me here. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the calendar and about the races we are about to watch, about the different tracks. I think that will be interesting for our listeners or viewers as well. Would that be okay, Mikael?
I'll do my best.
I will.
Thank you very much. I'll be gone.
Okay,
I'm just trying to find the calendar here, so just be a moment's break.
Okay, Mikael, I will ask you about the tracks, okay, and just tell me your brief opinion about them. We want to talk about Watkins Glen because we are in it. No point. We are going to watch the race. But what do you think about A1 ring in Austria?
Well, that one is quite easy because it's one of my personal favorites all over any track I ever tried. So, well, it's quite a short track and a few really tricky corners, really sharp, and you have the uphills and downhills there, as I like. And I think it can be a exciting race because of the small track. It's not. I think the lap times will be around 1:30 or so. So that's about it, I think.
Okay, next one is Vallelunga. It's our home track.
Well, didn't do too many laps there yet, as it's only the third race in the season, so didn't start practice that one yet. But it's also a very exciting track. It's really, really hard to drive and, well, it's quite hard to learn. But it has its fast parts and it has its really, really slow parts. It could be a great race there also.
I think, Mikael, the problem in Vallelunga for the teams, in my opinion, will be to set up the car properly, because when you have fast straights and very, very, very slow corners like the ones you have in the slowest part of Vallelunga, you have to decide of having a fast car, having an intermediate car, or having a good car in the slow sections. I think that this will be one of the keys in Vallelunga.
You're absolutely right, David. And my small experience I have on that track is that so far I think the fastest car is the one who's set for the fast parts, because there's more fast parts than slow parts. So if you just take it easy in the slow parts, it'll be fine.
Okay, next one is Donington Park. We had it the last year in the championship. What do you think?
Well, as Great Britain has a great weather, last year we had sunny qualify, if I remember correctly, and heavy rains in the race, and that was quite a surprise. But other from that, it's always a great race on Donington, because it's the same like the other tracks, more or less. It's really, really fast most parts and quite wide track, and it has great overtaking opportunities. You have the hairpins and some chicanes and really long straights.
David, what do you think the same? You think it's the same way?
Yeah, I totally agree. I like a lot Donington Park. I think it's a classic into the classics, and well, you can always expect a spectacular race in that circuit. You have a big variety of corners with high change on some corners. It will be very cool, I think.
Yeah, you also have the two hairpins at the end that is really, really great for overtaking. So you get a lot of overtaking chances on that track. And for those who didn't know, if you go to psrtv.com, you have the downloadable, the parts of the folders with last season's races. So if you want, you can check out the last year's race.
Also in our website.
Well, we are back then. Well then, your friendly voice is back, and we have 30 seconds till the start of the formation lap.
Okay, go.
And in fact, we have 5 seconds to go before the start of the formation lap, so let's see if everything goes well. I can see the grid, I can see Cristian Haba in the front row, and I can see Tim Hogendoorn, I guess, in the black and white car next to him, and so we're all waiting for David Garcia moving up the grid. And now we see the cars commencing the race. And they're on the in lap now. They're on the slow lap now. They're going into a single file now. And it seems that we have lost the pace car, but that shouldn't be a problem because all of these are experienced driver, and I'm sure we have a TeamSpeak contact to the guy in front, to Cristian Haba. So, I just get an information from David Garcia informing me that in fact the safety car has been disqualified. This will probably go down in racing history as the fastest end to a safety car, and I guess the safety car did a jump start there and got a DQ. But never mind, we have Cristian Haba in front, a very experienced racer. We have Tim Hogendoorn, and then we have the 2 guys from GMT-DHR, so that really shouldn't be a problem. And the drivers are now on the long back straight. They are going into bus stop chicane right now. And out of bus stop chicane again. This is the last time that they'll take it at this speed, I can tell you that. And now it's downhill. This is my favorite part of the track. Really, it's a bit like doing the roller coaster. They are now into the inner loop.
Flag.
Okay, race direction just tells me that we have another lap to go because the formation lap wasn't really satisfactory. We're on TeamSpeak now with the guys. Well, I'm not on TeamSpeak, but Race Direction is on TeamSpeak with the guys. And they're actually going to do another lap around the circuit here till we have a really nice and orderly line so that everything can go according to fashion the way it should be. I see now that Cristian Haba has to pit, so it looks as if he also had a DQ or something, maybe a stop and go. That's why he might be pitting now, and then that was indeed a very great decision by race control to have a second red flag lap here, so that would give him the time to do a stop and go and then come back on the grid. Otherwise, we would have the pole sitter taken out in the very first lap by technical problem. For the second time round, we see the cars entering the bus stop. We see Tim Hogendoorn in his Gumpert Apollo, a nice zebra design here in front. I think I made no secret of that, but this is my favorite designed skin on the whole grid here. And he's followed by the two GMT-DHR racers. And here we see Cristian Haba coming from the back of the grid, so apparently race control told him to get back into the front position, and that is just a brilliant move here because we now have the formation that we had in qualifying, and Cristian Haba can have his pole position. Alright folks, I've just been in contact with race control, and definitely we are going to see the start now. The line looks pretty orderly, everybody is in the right position, and Cristian Haba is leading the race, now is leading the cars, not really the race, but is leading the cars into the dreaded turn 10, that's now the downhill part after turn 9, and then uphill into 10. And he should get the green flag at some spot, I think between 11 and 12. And Haba is now passing the pit lane, and we're getting ready for the green flag. And there we have it, green flag, the race is open, Cristian Haba is in the lead, he's now pushing on the throttle and he's out in speed. And it's Tim Hogendoorn still in second. Tim Hogendoorn already an attack on the front line here. And Tim Hogendoorn moving in on the inside. Will he be able to pull that one off? I have a feeling that he can. And Haba's sliding wildly there, going back onto the line, but nothing serious happened. Tim Hogendoorn is in front. He's followed by GMT-DHR racer Damian Dainhumain, and then Mikko Korkiakoski in position number 3, folks. They're now through the S's, and for the first time out on that very, very long back straight. The virtual racers here possibly going beyond the 300 kilometers per hour line, and Tim Hogendoorn into bus stop. But he has Damian Dainhumain very, very hot on his heels. Tim Hogendoorn now down the chute, a bit of a stand being there, and Damian is moving in for the attack. Damian is moving in, and he's on the inside now, little touch there. Can Tim stay in control? Yes, he can just barely stay in control. And Damian also sliding wildly there. Maybe Mikko Korkiakoski can take advantage of that, but he can't. And it's still Tim Hogendoorn in position number 1. Another wild drift here out of the toe out of number 8. And then we see Mikko Korkiakoski moving out, but moving back into line behind Damian Dainhumain. We are now in 9. Tim is moving down up towards 10. And it's Damian Dainhumain in 2 and Mikko Korkiakoski in 3. And I guess once we finish the first lap, I think we should have a quick rundown of the racers on the grid so that all the teams see where their racers are. Tim Hogendoorn, he is now finishing the first lap, the first real lap of racing. And he's out. Oh, and a wild slide there by Damian Dainhumain. He goes into the pit wall. Let's hope that the car is not damaged too much. He was just exiting turn number 12, the last turn, a bit too wildly. Another wild slide here by Tim Hogendoorn. We have serious trouble for the guys in front. That puts Mikko Korkiakoski in front. And it puts Tim Hogendoorn in 3, and it puts Cristian Haba in 4, and it puts Mike Simian for Flat Out Racing in the 2nd position. Whoa, I'm getting breathless here, guys. So it's Mikko Korkiakoski for GMT-DHR Racing finds himself in the lead all of a sudden after 2 massive mistakes there by Damian Dainhumain and by Tim Hogendoorn. And it's Mike Simian in number 2. And moving down now the field, it's Tim Hogendoorn in number 3, again with some trouble here, going down into the chute. And then the wild pack there. We see Cristian Haba moving on Tim Hogendoorn, but he pulls back. It's Cristian Haba in position number 4, and behind him it's Damian Dainhumain. And Dainhumain fighting to get back into the race. And after Dainhumain is the 2nd flat-out racer. That should be Tom Isbrooks. And yes, sir, indeed, it is Tom Isbrooks. Tom Isbrooks here. And behind Tom Isbrooks, it's the 2nd RPM guy. That should be Christopher Aponte. He is now attacking Isbrooks. But he's pulling back again. But he's very, very close to Tom Isbrooks. So in 7 we have Christopher Aponte. Another, a little touch here by Aponte in the very vicious turn 10. But Isbrooks can pull it off, and Aponte pulls back. Moving down the grid, we are with 7th position Christopher Aponte, who is now finishing his 2nd lap. And then we have the first of the 2 blue flag racers, Mark A. Warmington in position number 8, so he must have pulled off a very good start. And it's in position number 9, the first of the Fanatec racers, that's Mike Wrightson. In position number 10, Ryan Mortimer, 2nd of the Fanatec racers, so they're doing a bit of a teamwork here. Ryan Mortimer now out onto the back straight, no, sorry, still in the S's. And I can see the next blue flag racer, Christopher Larsson, in 11. And behind him, that's the first of the Black Rebels Audis. That's Andreas Hultgren, my other co-commentator, in 12, going into the bus stop chicane now. And it's a flat-out junior. You can differentiate the cars. The juniors have a checkered design in the back and also on the hood. So that's the flat-out juniors. That's Kevin Clark, followed by the Koenigsegg of Olivier Havschek for the Team GG. He is in turn followed by Simon Walker. Remember, the 2 flat-out juniors were next to each other on the grid, so Olivier Havschek has moved into that flat-out junior group there. And then 15 for Simon Walker, 16 for Mehmet Arslan from the Black Rebels Racers. And then we have the first real gap here in the field. All of this has been very, very close so far. We have the first little gap opening up there to 17th positioned Julien Dufresne for Team GG in the 2nd beautiful blue flag, blue, white and red Koenigsegg racers here. And then another little gap to Mario Sousa of Portugal for Sonic Racing, red and white Aston Martin. And then in 19 we have Darren Gardner in the first of the Audis for Amy Racing. And in 20, it's Nick Carnell, who's just now leaving the turn number 10 and is back on the front straight. And Mikael, have you followed the first 3 or 4 laps? What's your impression of the race so far?
Well, I'm pretty surprised of the amounts of mistakes during the first 2 laps here. But as you said, the field is really, really tight. There's really no big gaps in the front. And, well, it looks to be an exciting race.
So we're in the front now with Mikko Korkiakoski, but race control tells me we should focus on the fight for position number 4 because that's where all the action is. Korkiakoski in front, and then Simian in 2, Hogendoorn for the burning tires in 3, and Damian Dainhumain in 4. Another little touch here to the wall by him, and behind him Cristian Haba. So we have the 3 guys that we said would be the fastest on the grid, and they are actually slugging it out for positions 3, 4, and 5. And another little touch there by Hogendoorn, and that gives Damian Dainhumain maybe the chance to attack. Hogendoorn moves across the start and finish straight. He now moves into T1, and he gets out in a drift, and so does Damian Dainhumain. Let's hope he can catch it. Let's hope he can catch it. Yes, he can, and he's back. That was some maneuver there. He's back just behind Cristian Haba. So now it's up for Haba to put the pressure on Tim Hogendoorn, and I guess he has a better exit speed coming out of T4. Going into the buses now, into the bus stop. Hogendoorn still in front. Haba on the grass. Haba on the grass, but he can rescue himself, rescue the car from that little trouble there. And so Hogendoorn, I think, has his hands full defending his position here against Damian Dainhumain and against Cristian Haba in particular, putting a mighty lot of pressure on him. Mikael, what say you about this fight?
Well, as far as I could see, Tim had a little visit on his right side in the doorway from Damian, and I think Damian got a little bit of help there, first to stay on the track and then get a little bit pushed off the track instead. And also when Cristian Haba attacked, there was some small contact as well. So it's really, really a hard fight for the position.
It certainly is,
and in my opinion, Eckhart, it's helping a bit to Mike Simian in P2. It's giving him a little gap from the group of P3, P4, P5. And more than this, I think
And we have trouble. Sorry to interrupt you, David. We have trouble. There was a touch there by Cristian Haba, and we have more trouble in the back. It's developing. Let's move down the field. Sorry, folks. I'm being a bit rude here. We have Tim Hogendoorn spinning wildly in T12. He got a little push there. I couldn't quite make out whether it was Cristian Haba actually giving him a little nudge or Damian Dainhumain. Whoever we have some trouble, and Tim Hogendoorn is down the grid. He's mightily down the grid. Mikael, have you any idea where we can find Tim Hogendoorn on the grid?
Yep, at the moment in P16, and as my computer is a little bit slow on the second screen where I have the transmission, I got to see a replay. And it was actually Haba giving Tim a push from the back and helping him spin a little bit. And also when he spun, he was sideways across the track and got hit from somebody else in the back of the field. So he's really, really damaged, and I suppose he's going to try to get into the pits.
Yeah, he's having huge problems to get back to the pits. He has not a rear splitter or rear wing, and his car is oversteering a lot, even going that slow.
Well, we're still with Christopher Aponte here, Cristian Haba, and Damian Dainhumain. That's the two Roaring Pipes Maniacs racers. hot on the heels of the GMT-DHR racer. And it's the fight for position number 3. Mikko Korkiakoski in 1 and Mike Simian in 2 have pulled away a little because there's been so much fighting going on here with these guys that they can't really keep up the speed. They're out of the 90 now. Mikael, you've just told me there is another accident. Mikael, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was Christopher Larsen going into the last turn and had a spin, and I think he might have managed to not hit the wall, and he's now in position 12.
Okay, and while you were talking, we saw that Mike Simian definitely has the faster ride on the back straight, and he got really, really close to Damian Dainhumain in the approaching the bus chicane, whereas Damian seems to be just slightly better in the section we are in now, in the chute and the toe and the boot. I just love these American names. And he always manages to pull away just a little there, and then it's back to Cristian Haba catching him on the back straight. So this is the massive battle for position number 3 here. And maybe I can send one of my co-commentators off to the pit lane or to the information screen to tell us whatever happened to poor Tim Hogendoorn. Where do we find him now?
Yeah, I am already in the pit, Eckhart. We have Tim Hogendoorn and Mario Sousa in the pit. He is repairing the cars. He have already a new rear wing, and I think he will go out of the pits in some seconds.
So that means he loses really about a lap because the other cars are now passing the pits, and he's 1 lap down now, so whatever we see of Tim Hogendoorn, he's a lap down, which will make it very, very difficult, even in a 90-minute race, to come back.
Yeah, it will make things very hard for him now.
Another attack here by Mike Simian. Yeah, big battle here. Mike Simian attacking on the inside, but he's pulling back, and Damian can just slip into the chute there. But this is the passage where usually Damian has a little bit of an advantage, and with Cristian Haba, sorry, not Mike Simian, Cristian Haba so close on his heels, it might well be that good old Damian is in some trouble in either this lap or the next lap. Cristian Haba is really all over the place. And I've just heard from race control, something that of course pleases me very much, that is my teammate Mark Warmington is up into position number 6. They're now out of 10, and Cristian Haba virtually nibbling away at Mike Damian's rear splitter there. They're now into 11, out of 11 onto the curves, and now down towards the turn 12. That's where all the action was, 2 or 3 laps ago. That put Tim Hogendoorn unfortunately down quite a lot. But right now, Damian Dainhumain seems to have found a very good line through these last turns, and he's approaching turn 1 with a bit of a gap to Cristian Haba, so it will be difficult for Haba to catch up to him. And look at the back, there's a sizable gap opening behind Christopher Aponte, so it's really the top 5, and then a huge gap, and then Mark Warmington for Team Blue Flag Racing in position number 6. Haba now approaching.
We are having a very, very cool fight. I don't know if our cameraman Jose can go a bit back to P10. There is a group of 4 cars, and it's very, very fun fight for P10, P11.
Well, Jose, are we with position number 10, Olivier Herschek?
Of course, we are.
You're one perfect cameraman, and so we're with Olivier Herschek in position number 10. Let me quickly tell you who he is fighting for or with. He is with Andreas Hultgren in 9 in the Black Rebels Audi. And then behind him we see Kevin Clark of the Flat Out Juniors, Christopher Larson, who had a spin, we heard about that, and then Simon Walker, the second of the flat-out juniors. So he's a sandwich there, good old Christopher Larsson, between the two Audis. And I agree with you, David. That is one huge battle here for Hercek. Right now he's pulled a bit of a distance between himself and the other three there, the yellow and blue sandwich. So let's move down a little. Let's focus on the two flat-out juniors and the blue flag racer in the middle, Christopher Larsson. Let's see what happens to these three, because they are really very, very close to each other. And I can just see the second of the Black Rebels racer in the back there, and that's Mehmet Arslan, so he is in position 14. Mikhail, with so many hot fights here in the very first laps, what is your opinion about tire wear on this track?
Well, from the testing, what I experienced was it's not so bad actually. Well, I don't know about other races, but for my style, I'm pretty conservative with the tires. And last night I did a 20-lap session with full race fuel, about 110, 120 liters, and in 20 laps I think the tire wear was down to about 70%, so it's not too bad. It shouldn't be a big problem if you're not really tight racing or really close racing.
Alright, we see here that Christopher Larsson is having some problems. Maybe that has to do with the spin he had early on. He really seems to have problems, especially going into the turns. Is there an explanation for that, Mikhail?
Could be a setup problem, because as far as I know, all the cars are really understeered in the default setups, and if you didn't make corrections to that, maybe he didn't have enough time to set the car up properly, or he's been pushing a bit too hard in the beginning, because as far as I know, Christopher is not used to be this far back, really.
Well, more than this, I would say that obviously Christopher have problems in the front splitter. His front of his car is very damaged. This will not help to get into the corner. Obviously, he will understeer more now.
That sounds like a very good explanations, both of them actually. And yes, checking out the front, it does look damaged, so he may have touched the wall there. And at least with me, it takes something like 3 to 4 laps to really adjust your racing style to the way your car handles once it's a bit damaged. Mikhail, how long does it take with you?
Well, as you say, you need a few laps, mostly because you need to get used to the braking points. It's really, really easy to overshoot the turns the first few laps.
Yeah, so let's move up the grid a little, Jose, maybe to Olivier Hercek in 10, because it seems that Christopher Larsson is getting better and better grip on his car, but it also seems that the Blue Flag Junior, Kevin Clark, has moved up, and now we just have a little mistake there by Monsieur Hercek. He is in fact overshooting that turn 9, and this gives Larsson the break that he needed. This gives Kevin Clark a little bit of room, and so now it's 10 for Clark of the Flat-Out Juniors, 11 for Larsson of Blue Flag Racing, 10 for 12 for Olivier Hercek, and I just saw the second of the Flat-Out Juniors going just a little wide in the back, but apparently he was still on the track there, and Hercek is now defending position number 12 against the second of the Flat-Out Juniors, and that is none other than Simon Walker. Simon Walker now chasing the Koenigsegg there of Olivier Hercek down the SS, through the SS, and then up the long back straight.
Also a cart in the front, it looks like Mike Simian might be gaining a little bit on Mikko. He's down to 2-second gap now, according to the live timing.
Well, why don't we move up a little then, leave these guys here fighting a great fight actually for positions 13, and from position 13 and 12 let's move slowly up the grid so we catch all the racers on the way up and give our viewers a chance to have a look at the front section of the lineup here. So in 13 we have Simon Walker, in 12 we have Olivier Herschek, as we said, in the Team GG. And then Blue Flag Racer, Christopher Larsson in 11. Just touching the grass here a little. And in 10, Kevin Clark. And then Andreas Hultgreen with the beautiful Audi skin there for the Team Black Rebels. And Mark A. Warmington, the second of the Blue Flag Racers, in position number 8. He's having a bit of a lonely race, but I think at this point in the race, with something like 22 minutes gone, I think it's really quite nice to be a bit left alone, and you can really take it a bit easy. You can think about his tires and stuff. So, position number 7, Mike Wrightson. We have a very close battle here between Tom Ilsbrooks and Mike Wrightson. Mike Wrightson of the Team Fanatec going into the buses, and Ilsbrooks taking a wild line here, defensive line across the grass, and that actually surprised Mike Wrightson, possibly a lot, because he pulled back and stepped on the brakes there apparently, and now Tom Ilsbrooks has again put some distance between him and Mike Wrightson. And moving up the grid to position number 5, it's Christopher Aponte, who seems to have lost contact to the 2 cars in front a little. He's in position number 5 for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. In position number 4 we have Damian Dainhumain for the Team GMT-DHR Racing. And then he is still hot on the heels of Cristian Haba, the other Roaring Pipes Maniacs racer. He's right now lapping one of the ANI racers. Very fair and very professional maneuver there by both racers, very well executed lapping. And we have Mike Simian up in 2 for Flat Out in the yellow and black Audi. So he's not sporting the checkered design, which means he's not a Flat Out junior, but a full-blown Flat Out racer. And then let's give some airtime to the race leader, to Mikko Korkiakoski, because he certainly deserves it. He's been leading the race from lap 3 onwards, and even though Mike Simian is getting a little closer, at least from what I can see here, it looks as if Mikko is fully in control of the race, fully in control of the pace, and that again possibly gives him a chance to be a bit soft on the tires, be a bit soft on the brakes. And Mikhail, you've also probably just now seen the time differences between the racers. We have 25 minutes, about 25 minutes of the race down. What do you say to the race so far?
Well, the gaps ain't too big so far. We have like the first 5 is quite close, and the gap between Mike Simian and Mikko Korkiakoski is sometimes 3.5, sometimes 2.5, so I think they're keeping about the same distance. And as you said, Mikko, I think he has control of the race. He doesn't push too hard. And well, some of the guys are falling a bit behind, but that's normal in a big race or in a long race like this.
And I've just checked the results screen here, or the standings screen, and I can tell you that Tim Hogendoorn is still in the race. He's in position 18, and my dear cameraman, Jose, maybe we should give poor Tim some airtime. He's at this point just now up to the start and finish straight, and if I see that correctly, he is in fact moving up the grid. He's not at the point now where he can unlap himself, but if I see that correctly, he certainly made some headway in his task to get back to the top of the grid. Let's see how far he actually gets. We know he's a brilliant driver, as is his brother Sander, and so I presume we will probably see him unlapping himself. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that, and that would put him, let me make a wild guess, in position 8 at the end of the race. Mikael, do you think it's possible for a very good racer like Tim Hogendoorn to come back into the race to unlap himself and then finish the race somewhere in the top 10?
Well, to gain 8th position at this moment, he had to gain about 2 minutes on Andreas, who is in 8th position according to the live timing at the moment. And yeah, Tim is a really great driver, but he needs to be a bit lucky with the other drivers letting him pass. And well, it's gonna be tough, that's for sure.
So we're again moving to where the action is, and the action is here with position 9, 10, 11 and 12, and it's a blue-yellow image we see. It's Christopher Larsson for Blue Flag Racing in 9, very closely followed by Mark Warmington, who must have had some trouble, down to 10. And then we have the two flat-out juniors, and the junior in front is Kevin Clark, and the junior behind is Simon Walker. And it's Olivier Herschek in the GG Koenigsegg, taking a good look at the whole situation, and it's Andreas Hultgren for the Black Rebels, who is probably watching this spectacle in his rearview mirrors, thinking what all the fuss is about. It's a totally blue and yellow image that we see here. Mark Warmington in 10, followed very, very closely by the flat-out junior Kevin Clark, who is running a little wide now, so that gives his partner a chance to attack on the outside. Let's see what they do in the turn there. It's Kevin taking the inside line, and he is actually passed. He's actually passed. He's down to 12. He's passed by Simon Walker, and that maneuver put Herschek in a position to attack. Herschek now moving in, but he's still a little bit too far away. So the Blue Flag Racers have, well, got some breathing space again. The flat-out juniors were really close there for a moment, but right now with that small mistake by Kevin Clark, which let Simon get past. Sorry, with a small mistake by Simon, which let Kevin get past, and I have to get used to these names. Sorry, folks. The flat-out racers have had to pull back a little, and they are now pestered by Olivier Herschek in the GG. That's how far it goes.
Yeah, Cart, just to add some info to that, we're closing into, I think, about 40 minutes into the race, and they should start pitting any second now.
Yeah, I said they're probably all on a one pit stop strategy, and I wonder if someone like Christopher Larsson, who obviously has now found his rhythm and his pace again after the spin, if he's going to actually repair the damage, because that costs a lot of time. Mikael, in a situation like that, what would you do? Would you spend the extra 15 seconds in the pits to have your splitter repaired, or would you rather say, okay, I've gotten used to the handling, I've gotten used to the brake points, I'll take this car through to the finish?
Well, most guys practice quite a lot, so I think he knows exactly how much time he's losing per lap now with the damaged car. And, well, the GTR Evo mechanics are not brilliant, so 15 seconds extra in the pit sounds like a little bit too less to me. I think I would keep the car as it is, if it's not too bad.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mikael. It's obviously the best option in the case of have to repair the car. If the damage is not quite big, you should take the feild, change the tires, and go back to the track as fast as possible, I think.
So the big fight continues, and it's now for position number 11, 12, and 13, and this time it's a sandwich with the Flat-Out Juniors and Olivier Herschak in the middle. And the Koenigsegg is doing some wild drifts here on my screen, and whereas the Audis of the Flat-Out racers seem to be much more stable. And just to put you in the picture of which racer is actually in 11, that's Simon Walker of the Flat-Out Juniors, and it's Herschak in 12 and Kevin Clark in 13, putting a mighty lot of pressure on poor Olivier there. They're down the chute now. There's an attack here on the inside, and he pulls it off, and some very gentleman driving there by Olivier Herschak, who lets the Flat-Out racer pass there. It's not as if he voluntarily lets him pass, but I think he had a choice between closing the door in a very brutal fashion, or rather admitting that yes, the Flat-Out racer was in fact having his nose very much into the curve already, so he'd better stay a bit on the outside. And now he moves over the grass. That's Kevin Clark, but he stays in control. That was just approaching the turn. He had some trouble, and now he's into 10, and he's out of 10 again. And it's back to two flat-outs, one next to the other, and then Monsieur Herschak for the Team GG in number 13.
Okay, Miguel, I have one question for you. You have the timetable in front. Could you tell us what's the pace from Mikko Korkiakoski to Mike Simian now? Because in the monitor I think they are getting closer and closer, like if Mikko Korkiakoski is having any kind of problem.
Well, they've done... Mikko's best lap is about half a second faster than Mike's fastest lap, but that was early on in the race. And last lap it was only 1/10 of a second difference between them, but that's correct. He is closer now. He is now going from 1.5 to up to 2 second gap, so he's about a second closer than he was before.
Yeah, and if you check the race monitor, Eckhart and Mikkel, you will see that even Mr. Haba is getting the group for the fight for the win. I think it will be very hot at the end.
So we're moving up the grid, and as you can probably see by now, with the cars on the back straight, we have three racers now in front. It's Mikko Korkiakoski for GMT-DHR Racing, the race leader from lap 2 on, and it's two guys closing in. It's Mike Simian for Flat-Out in position number 2, and it's Cristian Haba for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs in position number 3. So it will be very interesting to watch how these guys do their pit stops, how long they actually stay in the pit. So they're so close that actually overshooting your pit just a little might cause real trouble here. So they have to be very accurate in the pit stops. Mikael, what would you say?
Well, I think who's going to come out of the pits, the first of them, is the one who needs to take on the less amount of fuel. And, well, this is so small of a difference, so this can be a couple of seconds difference when they come out from the pits.
Yes, and on my watch, the race is 35 minutes down, so we should have the pit stops coming up in maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And we see the first pit stop there by Mike Simian, though, so let's move to Mike Simian in the pits.
Yeah, theoretically, he will be the one taking more fuel, as Mikkel said, so he will spend more time in the pit.
Of course, that also depends on your driving style and the type of car. I think the fuel consumption is a little bit different between the cars, and we have 3 different cars in the front.
Yeah, you're completely right, Miguel.
Yeah, that's what makes it so interesting, isn't it? 3 different virtual makes here with 3 different physical properties. So really the tire wear and the wear. And there we see the second flat-out racer coming into the pits. That should be Tom Ilsbrooks.
Yeah, it was Tom Ilsbrooks, Eckart.
And Mike Simian is out of the pits again. He's back on the track and he's in position 11 now. So let's see when the others come into the pit.
Yeah, looks like Mike Simian will have no traffic at the moment. He has a big gap to the car in front, so it will make things a bit easier for him now, I think.
It looks like a pit stop is taking about 1 minute and 1 minute 5 almost, so that could be worth thinking of when we see the top two go to the pits.
Exactly, and right now they're staying out, and they're staying in a very, very close fight. I think Mr. Korkiakoski has not been in such a close fight the whole race, as Cristian Haba has closed the gap to what I think looks like something like 0.3 seconds. They're now moving into the bus stop chicane, and Korkiakoski now has his hands full defending what looked like, well, not really an easy race, but a race he could control, has turned into a race where he has a big battle at his hands with Cristian Haba pushing mightily, and it seems that the Koenigsegg really is doing a very good job here with a lot of the race already done. It seems that the tires and everything still is in perfect working order. Now Haba is very close indeed here in the 180-degree called the toe. They're now moving into turn 9, down the hill again a little, and I think that Cristian Haba is close enough to maybe try something in one of the next turns. Mikhail, also from your experience as a sim racer, would you advise fighting now for a position for Cristian Haba, or would you advise him to let the pit strategy do the job?
Enter pits, which I think he's doing now, or maybe he's going to stay out for another lap. But if it was me, I think I would take the chance to hit the pits now, because he's obviously losing too much time up front now.
Yes, exactly, Mikhail. They are fighting with the time because Mike Simian have no traffic, and they are losing an extra time in this fight with bad condition tires. So maybe this is the key to see Mike Simian in front in some laps.
Yeah, we were very exciting to see the outcome. After all three have been in the pits.
I have to say, I miss a bit to Mr. Tim Hogendoorn in the fight. That would have been very cool to see the Gumpert also in the fight. 4 cars, 4 positions. That would be very cool in next races.
Yeah, moving down the grid just now, I saw that he has already passed the Aney racers, so he's not unlapped himself yet, but he's already back in the race. I think he's in position 16 at this point.
Okay, at the moment we have Christopher Aponte in the pit. He's pitting out right now.
And there's the attack by Haba, and we have a new race leader. Let's see if Korkiakoski can fight back. No, he can't. Haba in the lead for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs, for the defending champions. What a race this is, guys. And with something like 40 minutes gone, both of these virtual cars are about to pit. Let's see what happens in this lap. I think they both look as if they stay out. And I think that Mike Simian is in for a very, very long... No! There goes Mikko Korkiakoski. He's into the pits now, so let's stay with Korkiakoski and see if he gets out in front of Mike Simian or just behind.
Yeah, Eckart, I don't know what do you think, but in my opinion, Mikko was suffering a lot with the tires in the last 4 or 5 laps. I think maybe he made a mistake not going before to pit.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see when he will come out. It looked to me as if they were not losing too much speed in that fight, but you're always losing speed if you can't really concentrate on your perfect line, don't you, Mikhail?
Yeah, of course, every time you have to brake for the other car, or when you start pushing to get closer, you're going to miss your lines sometimes, so, well, you're probably going to lose some time. And looking to Mike Simian, he's doing, I would say he's doing the fastest laps in the race at the moment, but now with Haba clear in front, maybe he's going to make a better lap.
And Mike Simian is passed. Mike Simian is in 6th as we see Mikko Korkiakoski getting out of the pit, so Mike Simian is passed. Mikko Korkiakoski in the pit, and it looks as if David was right. It looks as if these 1 or 2 extra laps have really been the problem here for Mikko Korkiakoski. He's down to 7, but that of course doesn't say much because not all the drivers have pitted yet. And Mike Simian is in 6th, and we just saw Tim Hogendoorn there on his way up the grid in front of the 2 other racers. So at least he's with guys he can do better with now, so that should be nice for him.
Okay, as a reference to the pit, sorry Mikkel, as a reference to the pit timing or the pit strategies, as an example, Damian Dainhumain is now in P9. He have already done his first, maybe last pit stop. He's 2 spots behind Mikko, so I am not sure about the strategies.
And Cristian Haba is staying out, and he's still in front, and it looks as if this might be a very winning strategy for him because he has lots of open upper New York State space here in front of his virtual car, and it looks as if he's putting down some very fast laps right now. Right now he's in the tow, exiting the tow, and looking at the lines he's doing, everything seems to be fine. I can see no problems there under braking. I can see no problems getting out of the turns with the Koenigsegg. I can see lots of sparks, but that is to be expected. And we see a slow Aney racer there. Maybe that was just to be lapped, and yes, he's back on the track. So we see the 2 Aney racers there being lapped by Cristian Haba, and they're doing basically a team-oriented race here for position. And now it's Cristian Haba, and he is slowing down, and he is into the pits, folks. So we have the last of the pit stops here. We have the race leader, Cristian Haba, into the pits, and so let's watch now whether the other cars can actually pass him. Quick bet there, Mikhail, will he stay in front?
Hard to say because the other guys are really pushing. I've been following Mike for a while now, and he's doing amazing laps. He just caught up with a car. I'm not sure who it is. Maybe it's Hogendoorn. I'm not sure, but he's in between now, between Mikko Korkiakoski and Mike Simian. And we'll see because they will soon be coming up for the pits here. Is Haba still in the pits?
I can assure you that. He's still in the pits. He's changed the tires, sorry. No, he's put in the fuel and now he's changing the tires, I guess.
Because Mike is now entering start-finish line, yeah.
Exactly.
Haba is out of the pits now. He's going down the start and finish line. And I can see Simian passing, I can see Korkiakoski passing, and that white and black car should be Tim Hogendoorn, a lap down.
So conclusion should be that Mike was doing the best bits.
Yes, I agree completely with what you said before, Mikkel. Your option to take the road to the pit lane, I think it was the same, and I think Cristian Haba and Mikko Korkiakoski have paid a bit this mistake. They have given extra time to Mike Simian.
Yes, I agree there, David, but on the other hand, Mike Simian will have problems with his tires a bit earlier than the others. I think it was about 3 laps that he pitted earlier, so his tires should be gone on average these 3 laps. So towards the end of the race, we might see him actually slowing down. And right now, Korkiakoski is very hot on his heels. My trusted cameraman Jose, are we following the fight for number 1 and 2?
Yes, we are with them.
Thank you very much indeed, because that is exactly where the action is at the moment. We have a fight for 1 and 2. The 2 cars are maybe 0.1 seconds apart there, and we're in the middle of a 90-minute race. And what could be better than a real fight for position number 1 in the middle of a long-distance race? And in the back we saw Tim Hogendoorn right now, so sorry again, Tim, about what happened there in that number 2. If you're watching the replay, we're all very, very sad about what happened there to you, and we hope that at this point in time you're still in the race there and still trying to move up as far as possible. And Korkiakoski now through the S's and very, very close to Simian. He is moving alongside. He's trying to get past on the outside. I don't think this will work. He's taking the route across the grass. He can get back on the track, and that obviously cost him some seconds. Mike Simian strictly sticking to his line there in perfect racing fashion. And Mikael, what do you say? Did Korkiakoski have a sporting chance to get past in that scene right now?
Yeah, of course he has. He's a really fast driver, as well as Mike is. But I wasn't really paying close attention to the fight now, because what's happened in the back is that Damian actually set the fastest lap of the race. So I suppose he's going really fast now. And we only have a 10-second gap between first guy and 5th position.
Well, that's what I call a very, very close race. Can you give us a quick update of the drivers, the whole grid, so that the teams know where everybody is, while we follow the excruciatingly close fight here for position number 1 between Simian and Korkiakoski. Goodness, this looks like WTCC racing in lap number 7 or 8, and not like something like a 90-minute race here. But Mikael, can you give us this rundown of all the positions?
I sure can. We have in first position, of course, Mike Simian, closely followed by Mikko Korkiakoski from the GMT-DHR team. In third position, we have the first Roaring Pipes maniac, Cristian Haba, followed by his teammate, Christopher Aponte. And after him, we have very close as well, Damian Dainhumain from GMT-DHR. In position number 6, Tom Ilsbrook with his Audi from the Flat Out Racing team.
Sorry, Mikko.
In 7th position, yeah.
Sorry for the interruption. Mikko took the lead.
And it was a very, very close maneuver indeed. We see 2 sim racers here at the height of their powers. I would have totally, well, damaged that situation there. It was very close indeed. He just had a bit different line in the 90 in turn number 1, and then a lot of speed through the S's, came out on the back straight and just managed to push past Mike Simian there in front of the bus stop. And so we have race leader again, Mikko Korkiakoski, though this time he is definitely not in control of the race. He's just been struggling to get back on top of the race. But we are very impolite to you, Mikael. You were just doing this fine rundown of the grid, and I think you were in position number 6, weren't you?
Yeah, we were about to come down to number 7, who is Mike Brightson. And he is with the DHR Fanatec team, the junior team. And after him we have Christopher Larsson, the first BFR racer. And we have my own teammate Andreas Hultgren in position number 9. Number 10 is Kevin Clark, also from the Flat Out Racing team. And in 11 we have Mark A. Warmington, also a BFR guy. And after him we have Simon Walker, also Flat Out. And after him in position number 13 we have Mehmet Arslan from the Black Rebels. I think I need some water as well.
Yeah, you don't know your own team. That's a bad crime.
Yeah, exactly. Getting a bit confused with this list. Actually, it's changing every 10 seconds or so. So in position 14, we have Tim Hogendoorn now. He's moving up slowly, but also moving up. And now we have another update on the live timing. So after Tim, I don't see anyone at the moment.
That's too sad, because that would mean we have dropped the two ANI racers. So let me quickly check out whether the ANI racers are still in the race. They were just being passed by Tim Hogendoorn the last time I watched. That was about 4 laps ago. So while you guys still see Korkiakoski, who's actually pulling away a little from Mike Simian, he seems to have a slightly faster ride at this point in the race. And in the back we can see Haba approaching. So we are back to our three-way fight here. In fact, let me quickly give you an update on the ANI racers. And sure enough, they're still in the race. Nick Carnell in 17, Darren Gardner in 16. They're really close to each other. In fact, they're right now on the back straight, going down the back straight. Darren just having some problem there, exiting the turn, but he could manage to get back on the track. And in 15, we have Julien Dufresne of the GG Racer. I'm afraid to say that I saw the other GG Racer leave on my screen a couple of laps earlier. There must have been some problems. And then Tim Hogendoorn, as we said, up in 14. And right now he is actually fighting with, I think, Damian Dainhumain there. So he is at least in a position to enjoy the racing at this point. But sorry, we're back to number 1 and 2. Anything happened in the front while I was telling you about positions 17 to 14?
There is no big change really. We still have Mikko, who is almost 2 seconds in front of Mike Simian right now. And also Haba is getting really close to Mike Simian. So you're right, they're getting really close, the first 3 guys.
Yeah, so let's focus on position number 2 and 3. That is where the next battle is. It's a bit like Mikko getting back to his the position that he's used to drive in this race, that he's used to race in. And it's a big battle for position number 2 here. Mike Simian N2 in the Audi of the Flat Out Racing team, and followed closely by Cristian Haba of the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. And they're right now lapping the ANI guys. And in the S's, we can see the ANI guy leaving lots of room there. And it looks to me, folks, as if we see another attack, and that attack will be by Cristian Haba. He's in the slipstream now. And they're down the long straight. Haba touches the grass a little, but stays in control, and he is past Mike Simian. But Mike Simian is very close, so going down the chute, if he gets a better line now, he might try a follow-up. They're past the brake zone, and no action there from Mike Simian. In fact, Cristian Haba has taken that turn perfectly, so he's already put a little bit of distance between his ride and Mike Simian. Mike Simian down to 3, he was in 1, and I'm sure he will try to fight back. I'm sure he will not let Cristian Haba get away so easily.
Guys, we didn't talk about Christopher Aponte. His race is in 4th position, no big fights, no spectacular movements, but I think a very consistent race.
Thank you, Jose, for pointing that out. Indeed, and he is within striking distance to the race that's happening in front, and if I see that correctly, it's Damian Dainhumain behind him, so it's not that he can take it easy, but I think it's a fabulous race here by Christopher Aponte in the Roaring Pipes Maniacs, sporting the light blue UNICEF back splitter that I find very nice touch that they have here, supporting a non-profit organization, UNICEF, and he's now into the 90s, out on the curves, and approaching the S's, and should be Damian Dainhumain, is right that we see in the back there. So not a lot of distance between positions number 4 and number 5. Mikael, we're almost 60 minutes into the race with 2/3 gone. What, from your experience, is the most difficult job that the drivers now face in the last 30 minutes?
Well, it's mostly, if you're running a lonely race, it's to keep the concentration so you don't miss your brake points, as the tires are getting a little bit more worn by every lap. But at this point, there's not much to do. It's the car should be running fine, and well, just hope that you put enough fuel in and just keep the train going.
Okay, so it's basically a kind of relaxed phase, and then we have the last 20 or 15 minutes where you're busy looking at the fuel gauge, see if you put in enough, and also busy really checking your virtual ride if you feel anything in the setup going wrong there in the last 15-20 minutes, isn't it?
That's absolutely right. If you were running a lonely race, I think most of the guys we followed so far didn't do that. So when it comes down to tires and everything, I think most of them is going to have quite a lot of problems in the end. So we can probably expect a few very, very wide turns in the end.
And as we're watching Aponte now, we saw him have a little touch there to the wall coming out of turn 11, actually, and also a bit of a problem in turn 1 there. So it might be that he has Dainhumain in his rear view mirror and already feels a little bit of pressure. And let me tell you, folks, if I had named Damian Dainhumain in my rear view mirror, and if I would be in the lucky position to be actually racing him and not being left by him, I wouldn't feel too easy about it. I would actually be quite afraid of Damian coming up to me because he's such a great racer. And while we're following Christopher Aponte, Mikael, since you have a second screen with the live timing, any news from the front there? What about our friend Mike Simian? Is he losing ground on Cristian Haba?
He sure is. He's about 3.5 seconds behind now, and he's making lap times around low 144, and Haba seems to be the fastest guy on track at the moment with 142, and I think he's alone with 142 so far.
Well, that means he should be closing the gap, so let's do one of our famous rundowns of the grid, so we give all the racers some airtime here. Let's move back to the top then, Jose, if that's possible, and then move down the grid. But right now we see that Darren Gardner has left the race. We saw him crash on the back straight a couple of laps back, and so it seems that he has a lot of problems with his, or has had a lot of problems with his suspension then following the crash. But I think we're with position 1 now. Jose, tell me if that's correct.
Yeah, in fact, we are following not the first position, but the cars in the front. But yeah, we can do our classical information round.
Okay, so it's Mikko Korkiakoski in position number 1. Very, very, very closely followed by Cristian Haba. So we have to do a quick rundown so we get back in time for the real battle to begin. Cristian Haba in 2, Roaring Pipes Maniacs. In position number 3, Mike Simian for Team Flatout. In position number 4, Christopher Aponte for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. In position number 5, Damian Dainhumain for the GMT-DHR Racing. Position number 6, the second of the flat-out racers, brilliant team result there, Tom Isbrooks. Position number 7, sorry Mike, we haven't seen much of you, Team Fanatec, Mike Wrightson. In position number 7, one way or the other, he was always out of the fights. Position number 8, Blue Flag Racer number 1, Christopher Larsson. Position number 9, that's the Flatout Junior, number 1, Kevin Clark. And we have another big fighting group here, folks. Number 10, Mark A. Warmington for Blue Flag Racing. And followed closely by 11, Andreas Hultgren for the Black Rebels. followed in turn closely by Simon Walker for the flat-out juniors. These guys are having the time of their life here. They are constantly in big battles. In 13, we have Mehmet Arslan of the Black Rebels. In 14, Tim Hogendoorn, as we say, moving up the grid after the problems he had in the first lap or the second lap. And then Julien Dufresne for Team GG in position 15. And followed by Nick Carnell in position number 16. And that is the last car on the grid, so we can move back to Mikko Korkiakoski and Cristian Haba. But since Mikko has put a little distance between his ride and Cristian Haba's ride, I suppose you would agree we should go to that position 10 fight there with the Fanatec Juniors. They seem to be, not the Fanatec Juniors, the Flat-Out Juniors. They seem to be where all the action is in this race. Jose, do you agree? Should we go to position number 10?
Yeah, Carla, I think we should go to the front because there's a big battle for the first position. And
yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. We're with Mikko Korkiakoski, the race leader, and he's just now touching the wall a little, coming out of the turn number 12, and that gives Cristian Haba a chance to catch up. And let's see if he can carry a lot of speed through the 90s here. He definitely can. They're both moving out onto this curve that I absolutely hate, I must say. They're now both into the S's, and it looks as if Korkiakoski is really under pressure. You can see his car moving here and there. You can see little touches there, even to the brake pedal in that passage, trying to stay in control. And then Haba is not trying to make a move here before the bus stop. He is definitely not. He's putting pressure on Korkiakoski, waiting for Korkiakoski to make that mistake. Korkiakoski moving on the outside, and you can see, sorry, that was Haba moving on the outside of Korkiakoski, mixed them both up. You can see Korkiakoski taking very defensive lines. Indeed, there was another touch here. You could see little bits of virtual cars strewn all over the track, and Korkiakoski is really feeling the heat here in Watkins Glen in the second round of the STC, the Sim Racing Team Challenge. Korkiakoski for GMT-DHR Racing. Coming out of turn 12 now, onto the start and finish straight. Mike Simian, Cristian Haba in position number 2. They're going into the 90s again. Let's see who can take the most speed out of this turn. It's so crucial to take a lot of speed out here. They're now through the S's. You have to take a very clean line through the S's to take as much speed as possible. And I guess Haba is now in a perfect position to do something before bus stop. He's moving out very early. He seems to be very confident of his speed. He is on the outside. He's on the worst line, so he's pulling back again. Korkiakoski, we see him on the grass again, and there was a touch. There was a touch, and Haba, could he manage? I couldn't quite see it, but I hope he could manage to avoid hitting the wall there at the end of bus stop. But also Korkiakoski is slowing down. He's slowing down. He maybe let Haba pass to say, sorry mate for that touch there, sorry mate for that maneuver, or he also has some problems with his car after that journey over the grass there, and that puts Mike Simian within striking distance. What a fight here for position 1, 2, and now again for position 1, 2, and 3. Korkiakoski down to 2, Haba up in 1 for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs, the defending champions. Korkiakoski for Team GMT-DHR Racer, who are kind of the the team that both Mikael and me said at the beginning of the race would be our secret favorites here for the tournament overall. And then the flat-out racers in position number 3, Mike Simian putting up a great show here, making this a great fight. And I can't stress this too much. What a pity we don't have Tim Hogendoorn here for the Burning Tires Rebels racing team. He would definitely put in a good show too, and we would have a 4-way fight. But this is great racing, folks. Mikael, what's your opinion on that move that we just saw there in the bus stop chicane?
As I told you earlier on, I'm so lucky that my internet is a little bit slow to PSR, so I actually get a replay on my second screen. And what happened was Mikko Korkiakoski totally blew the first part of the chicane, and he went over the grass and locked his wheel a little bit, and hitting Haba in the side. So I think you're right when you say that it was probably the gentleman thing to do to let Haba pass to, well, as saying sorry for the push.
Yeah, did Haba actually go into the wall? I couldn't see that on my screen. I had a feeling he was at least heading for the wall, but it must have been an awesome maneuver not going into the wall. Or did he actually go into the wall?
I think he managed to stay on the track, actually.
Well, that was brilliant then. So, with the race well beyond 60 minutes, I think at least on my watch we're at 67 or 68 minutes into the race. We still have a 3-way battle at the front, and right now Haba seems to have the upper hand and seems to be able to pull away a little, whereas the difference between the time difference between Korkiakoski and Simian seems to stay more or less the same.
Okay guys, welcome back. While you were watching the very nice commercials of PSR TV and the GameHoster.net, we got lucky enough to follow the fight between Damian Dainhumain and Christopher Aponte. They're really fighting it out, but I think Damian has the upper hand at the moment. What do you think, David?
Yes, looks like this, Mikhail. Now there is a bigger gap from both cars, but Christopher, I think the Koenigsegg is helping the RPM guys today. It fits quite well, this fast circuit.
Yeah, you looks right, because as we in the Black Rebels know, the Aston Martin is quite a beast to handle on any track, really. So you don't need much to make a big mistake in this car.
Yes, it's enough if you move and listen the engine of the Aston Martin, and you go back and listen the engine of the Koenigsegg. You can imagine a bit how both cars react. The Aston Martin is quite nervous compared with the Koenigsegg.
Absolutely right there. The Koenigsegg has the torque of a truck engine, actually, and the Aston Martin is more like a motorcycle. It's really high in the revs.
Anyway, Mikhail, I think both cars are very, very competitive, and they have their pros and their contras. I think they need a lot of work in the setup to get the best of the car.
So big battle here, folks, for position number 10 and 11 between the two very friendly teams here, the Black Rebels and the Blue Flag Racers. Basically the two teams in a way behind the first Blue Cup tournament and now back in the second Blue Cup tournament, which at the same time is the first sim racing team challenge. And we see the Black Rebels racer Andreas Holtgrain in position number 10, followed closely by Mark A. Warmington of the Blue Flag Racers. And you've just been talking about the different rides, and again here we have the difference between the Audi and the Aston Martin. And I wonder what it will be like in the last 10 minutes or so of the race when it comes down to which of these virtual rides better protects the equipment, the gears, the tires and the setup and everything. So it's Andreas Holtgrain, followed closely by Mark A. Warmington.
Eckert,
Should whisper also be between Aponte.
Eckert, should we say this is a commentator's fight, or what? I think
it certainly is. It certainly is. They're both my co-commentators. I've worked together with Andreas last year at Donington. It was very good cooperation there. And Mark A. Warmington has also signed up to do some commentary, and he'll probably be with us in the next race, I hope. So, yes, and they're both doing a great job. Let me tell you that I'm possibly by far the slowest commentator on the grid. Another one of the battles here, that's the battle for position 5 and 4 between the Roaring Pipes Maniacs Christopher Aponte and Damian Dainhumain in the GMT-DHR racer. And just before we moved here, we saw on our second screen that Christopher Aponte unfortunately hit the wall, there was a lot of pressure that Damian put on Christopher Aponte, and you can actually see it if you look at the Roaring Pipes Maniacs Koenigsegg, that it's a bit damaged in the front right, I think. Yes, going into the chute now, you can see the front right has taken some damage, so I hope that Aponte can keep the speed that he's shown throughout the race. And we said early on it was possibly just a little bit of a lonely race for him, but it seems that it's lonely no longer because he's in this fight with Damian Dainhumain. From what you can see, Mikael, how serious is the damage that Aponte sustained there on the front right? And he's running wide now, so it should be quite serious, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think you're very right, because he was having big troubles in every turn after the small accident he had. He was coming out of the last turn, I think, and got a little sideways and hit the pit wall, actually. And it was quite a bad hit.
Oh my, yes, I had that problem in training too. I actually pitted once accidentally because I was coming out of that last turn, really sliding, and then put me straight into the pit lane, and I had to pit whether I wanted to or not.
Yeah, that happens to all of us, I think. I've been there a few times as well.
What does your pit crew say when you arrive and they are, having their Coke and maybe their tea or something? Do they enjoy when you come in all of a sudden?
I wouldn't say so, because the speed you enter the pits with is nothing you want to show the race direction, really. I think you have close to 200 kilometers entering the pits, and that's not to recommend to anyone.
Yeah, it's very good that Simbin didn't populate the pits, otherwise it would be a huge massacre there.
Yeah.
Well, back with second positioned Mikko Korkiakoski, and to put you in the picture about Christopher Aponte, he's had another pretty bad hit going off in another turn. Mikael, you saw it on your second screen. Can you describe, please, what you saw there to poor Christopher?
Yeah, he's having big troubles in every turn, as we said before, and he went off. I don't think he hit anything really, but he lost maybe 10 seconds or so. So he's he's losing a lot of time every lap now.
Right, so we're with Korkiakoski in 2 through the SS here, out onto the back straight, and is still followed closely by Mike Simian. It seems that they are running almost the same lap times here. From the last time we watched to this, there's not been very much change between them. With your marvelous second screen, Mikael, can you tell us the time difference between them?
In the front, we have about 6.5 seconds between Cristian Haba and Mikko Korkiakoski, and a little bit less than 3 seconds down to Mike Simian from Mikko. So they're quite close still. I think that we have a total of 7 seconds between the first and third position.
All right, thank you very much.
And Mikael, what is the time remaining to end the race?
Ooh, that was a good question. According to the live timing, we did 1 hour 27 minutes so far, but there should be a few minutes delay there, so maybe 5 minutes or so. Could that be right?
Yeah. It's now I can see it. I have access to a race monitor in the pit.
We're back again.
3 minutes with 50 seconds now, Mikael. You were very right.
Yeah, and if I'm not completely wrong, I think that Christopher Aponte will have some troubles with Tom Ilsbrook, who's coming really fast from behind as well.
Well, while we're following second position, Mikko Korkiakoski, I've just had a quick look at the back of the grid, and it's Tim Hogendoorn. He is still in the race. He is still fighting for position. He is up to position 13 now, of 15 cars still running. He's fought his way past 7th positioned Fanatec racer, Mr. Mike Wrightson, and so he is, in fact, I think, getting closer to the group in the lead, but I think he's too far away, actually, to unlap himself in this race. He's still in position 13 with Mehmet Arslan in 12, and then moving up the grid, we have Mikko Korkiakoski here, still in 2 and still under pressure from Mike Simian for the Flat Out Racers. So, Mikael, with the race almost up, can you give us a first brief impression that you have of this race? What to you were the high points and the low points of the race? And yeah, tell me just a bit about your opinion of the race.
Well, I think all in all it's been a great race so far, and I don't think it's really over yet, because if I'm not wrong, I think they might be into the second to last lap. And Mike Simian is really, really close still, so I think we will have a fight for the second position. But other from that, there's been a lot of close fighting, and as usually in this league, it's been really clean. And, well, they behaved really good, the guys, and I think they showed us some great fights.
Okay, David, what's your impression of the race with about 2 laps to go?
Well, I think we had action during the 90 minutes. In my opinion, it was a show of strength from RPM and Cristian Haba. It was an excellent performance from him. Maybe in other tracks, the Aston Martin or the Audi are faster than the Koenigsegg, but in this track, Cristian Haba was a step ahead of the others, I think.
So RPM were wise to choose this as their home track, weren't they? I think they really knew what track they picked when they settled for the Koenigsegg, and they showed us here that it was a perfect choice. And we see here that the second position, Mikko Korkiakoski, is about to lap one of the blue flag racers. He should do that with no problems on the long back straight, and he's actually doing it now. And in what could be the last or the second to last lap here for Mikko Korkiakoski. And Mike Simian following closely. It's the last lap, thank you very much. And to be quite honest, I don't think Simian has a chance to really get close enough to make a move on Korkiakoski. I think the distance is just something like 0.1 or 0.2 seconds too far. But let's see.
I think he's gonna try for sure for the last turns now, because he's really close, but it's just those last few meters. So probably we will see a wild chance taking here in the last turns, maybe.
And while we're speaking, Cristian Haba is on the finish line, and he is in fact over the finish now, but I didn't see any flashing lights on his ride. But no, he's slowing down now considerably. So race winner Cristian Haba for the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. Or is it still, is the race still on? What does your screen say?
Well, the time is up. I wasn't following Cristian when he crossed the finish line, so I can't say if he managed to cross the finish line just before the time ended. But it must have been really close either way.
Yeah, to me it looks as if these guys are still racing.
I think they are now in the last lap.
No, it was the last lap.
No,
I think it was the last lap.
Yeah. It's a problem we used to have this one, but it's due to the simulator. We can do anything.
So we're back with the results here for the second race, for the first race in the GTPro class, second race in the Sim Racing Team Challenge. Cristian Haba of the Roaring Pipes Maniacs wins the race with 12 seconds in front of Mikko Korkiakoski for the GMT-DHR team. Mike Simian for Flat Out, just a bare 0.4 seconds behind after 90 minutes in position 3. Damian Dainhumain in 4th for GMT-DH Racing. Christopher Aponte in 5, that's the second of the Roaring Pipes Maniacs. Very good team results for both of these teams. Thomas Brooks for Flat Out Racing in 6, another brilliant team result. Mike Wrightson for the GMT Fanatec Racing in 7. Number 8, Christopher Larsson for the Blue Flag Racing team. Kevin Clark, the Flat Out Junior in 9, Andreas Hultbrain, the Black Rebels in 10, Mark Warmington, the Blue Flagger in 11, Mehmet Arslan, the second of the Rebels in 12, Tim Hogendoorn finishes in 13, that's the Burning Tires Rebels, and then Julien Dufresne brings up the rear there in 14. So that was the race result for you, and I wonder if we have any interview guests today, Jose.
Jose is right now talking to Cristian in another channel, so I'm quite sure we're going to have Cristian with us in a few seconds.
Well, that would be great. So I'm waiting for my first interview partner.
Yes, we have with us Cristian Haba.
Well, Cristian Haba, congratulations to your first win in your first appearance in the SimCar Sim Racing Team Challenge. Tell us a little bit about your race.
Well, it started off pretty good. I had a pretty nice qualifying lap, although I had made a few mistakes and I could have had another 3/10 pretty easy, but it was enough for the pole, and I was happy to give that to RPM. The race, I'm a bit inexperienced in the STC, as you guys saw. In the beginning, it was a bit tough to keep position and to get a hold down on everything, but overall it went okay.
Okay, so you were very close to that thing that happened in, I think, the second lap in the last turn of the race when Tim Hogendoorn spun. Can you tell us what you saw there or what you felt there when this happened?
Well, those last two turns, I take them pretty fast, and I try to let the car flow as much as possible. And seeing how Tim qualified pretty far up front, I thought his pace might have been the same. But unfortunately, I think I gave him a little tap just at the apex of the turn, and that initiated his spin. And I did say sorry to him about that.
Oh, well, too bad, isn't it? But we saw it on the screen, and he went wide. He went into the pits and lost a lap. Other from that, you had some great fights then for position. Which one would you classify as the toughest guy to pass on the grid today for you?
I think on another day it might have been a tie between Tim Hogendoorn and Damian, but today it was Damian. I spent quite a few laps behind him, and it was very hard to try to get into a rhythm, as he was driving a few different lines for me, and I had higher speeds in some turns, he had higher speeds in others, and I just had to find out where I could find an opening and get past him.
All right, and the Königsegg, it's quite a beast, isn't it, to control? How did you feel about your ride?
It is quite a beast to control. The first few laps, the car handles quite well. And later on in the race, you start suffering from understeer. The tires, especially the driver's side tire, goes away pretty quickly. And during the race, it becomes tough to take some of the high banked turns at speed. It's a great car. It's great down the straight. I was giving lots of problems to Damian like that. It's quite a good car down the straight, and it holds its own in the turns as well.
All right, one very last question before I let you get your drink of water or beer or wine, whatever it is. I put you in as a Canadian guy at the beginning of the race. Was I right or was I wrong?
Yes, you are right. I am a Canadian citizen. I was originally born in Romania, and I lived there for 11 years, but when I came here, I got my citizenship, and I'm a Canadian citizen, and as well a Romanian citizen as well, but I'm Canadian first.
Oh, brilliant. So that means you're connected all across the ocean to our server, and we have our first non-European winner, I guess, in the Sim Racing Team Challenge, so it was good of us to not call it European Team Challenge any longer.
Yep, that was a good idea. This is a popular championship, and we'll see a lot more different races, and hopefully from over the ocean as well.
All right, thank you very much then, Cristian, and I'm asking my co-commentator, Mikkel, whether you would like to do the second interview if we have another interview partner.
I think that you might do it. You're used to it, so maybe you better take it.
Oh, never mind. Do we have another interview partner?
Well, before ending with Cristian, sorry, I would like to say congratulations. It was a brilliant race, Cristian.
Thank you very much. It was tough, but I'm glad I pulled it through. Thanks a lot, guys.
I gave you an
Thank you,
extra
bye-bye.
work at the start of the race, Cristian, with the problem with the safety car. It was fun, but it was a terrible situation for me. Thank you for taking the lead and keeping the pace. It was cool.
Hey, no problem. I thank you guys for letting me regain pole position. I thought I was going to start at the end as the last car, so that was really nice of you guys to keep another formation lap going. Thank you.
So that was race winner Cristian Haba. Sorry, another interview partner coming up.
No
yes,
problem.
you have
Go ahead.
both. You have second and third positions drivers here with you.
Oh, that's perfect. So let's move to second position. If I remember correctly, that was Mikko Korkiakoski. Was I right, Mikko?
Yes, you are correct.
So congratulations to a second place. We saw loads and loads of fights up in the front. What's your impression of this race here, the first race in the STC for the GTPro class?
Yeah, well, actually, to get to the first place was quite easy for me because I just saw everybody spinning off the track or on the track and basically just letting me by. So getting the first position was quite easy, but then keeping it was another story.
Ah, okay. We had you down for he's the guy who's in control of the race for much of the first half, but then the problems started, didn't they?
Yeah, well, actually I didn't have any problems except tire wear, which was getting quite bad in the middle of the stint. So I was fast in the, I'd say, first 10 laps of each stint, and after that the tires were going faster than anybody else's, so I started losing time, and it was quite difficult actually.
Okay, any scene that you remember vividly where you say, ooh, I should have done it differently in that scene, or I should have pulled a bit to the left or the right or whatever? Anything, any mistake you made where you say now looking back, I could have maybe done it different?
Yeah, when Cristian was catching me on the some straight, I don't know the name, but just before the sector 1 checkpoint, he was right in my tail, and I just thought that I have to keep this line and keep first position, but then I just outbraked myself and went straight through the chicane, and that was maybe the worst mistake, or the only real mistake that I made. I'm quite happy to my race because I didn't really make any mistakes that cost me time.
Yeah, we saw you taking some very, very clean lines there. In that situation, then you actually touched Cristian, didn't you? And then we thought you actually let him pass to do the gentleman thing.
Yeah, that was you are correct there. I went straight through the chicane and got a warning, and I couldn't do anything else. If I would have braked, I would have just spinned, and maybe we would have both been in the wall. So I just hoped and tried to brake a little bit so I wouldn't hit him. But he was also going quite slow, so we touched, and well I got the first position back, but it was clearly I gained time in and the position back in that situation. So I decided that it's the right thing to do to let him pass, because he was actually past me.
Okay, well, very well done there, gentleman driver Mikko Korkiakoski. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Mikko, and I hope to see many more of these brilliant races from you in the near future. What will be your next track?
Well, actually, I think the next track will be the next track on the roster. So it's A1, I think.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah. So at the moment I'm driving there. If everything goes to plan, then I'll be there.
Okay, hope to see you there, and we're moving to third position. Congratulations again to Mikko Korkiakoski for the second position. Third position, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Mikko. That was Mike Simian, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So, Mike, few impressions from your position, from your perspective on this first race in the GTPro class.
Well, it was a lot of fun. The first few laps were a bit hairy, especially the starting procedure, but yeah, it all worked out in the end. And then there was a few incidents up front, which, you know, I just tried to get by and then just tried to keep consistent.
Okay, we saw you were in many fights all through the race. Which one do you remember as being the most crucial fight or the most difficult fight of the race?
Well, I tried not to fight too much because my car was lacking a bit down the straight, so there was not a lot I could do really without doing some illegal manoeuvres. So I just kind of, I fought for a little while and then just let them go and didn't want to lose any more time than I would in a battle. So just tried to keep consistent and see if I could tag on the end of them and get some toe down the straight. But yeah, it wasn't to be. It just didn't have the pace down the straights, unfortunately.
All right, and let's talk about the pit strategy. You were in the pits the first, if I remember correctly, and it paid off very well for a couple of laps, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to lose any time, so I thought, you know, I'd jump in the pits and trying to get onto some good tyres again and try and set a few good laps. And it worked out all right. I think I could have taken out a bit more fuel. I finished with about 20 litres left, so if I'd have done anything different, it's probably take 20 litres out of my tank.
Okay, and then after about 10 laps or so, we thought we saw that you had beginning some tire problems there, and then had to let the others back into the lead. But you say it was basically the speed on the straight that you were missing tonight.
Yeah, I think that it was the speed. The saving grace of the Audi is it's good on tyres, so I knew I could stay consistent really and right to the end, and started catching up a little bit towards the end. But yeah, just, you know, couldn't do it on the straights, but still, I mean, I can't complain. The car felt good. Definitely suits me more than the Koenigsegg, so I'm happy with the result.
Oh yeah, some great racing there from you. Any news about Tom Isbrooks, your partner? He was very unlucky in the GT Sports race. I think he finished somewhere in 6th or something. Any news from him?
No, I've not really had a chance to speak to him yet, but I'm glad he got back up and raced again this week, because he was very unlucky last week in the sport class. His engine blew. So yeah, I'm chuffed that he jumped in and raced, and I think he got a good position. I think it was 6th, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I figured too. So you have a brilliant team result there. 3 and 6. We have actually 3 teams. What do you reckon for the championship? Who's your favorite? Apart from Flat Out, I mean.
Oh, it's a difficult one to call so early, but I'd say GMT looking good, and RPM as well. So yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a good battle towards the end of the season. We just have to wait and see.
Okay, thank you, Mike Simian then, and my question now goes to Jose. I think we're at the end of our first broadcast of the season, aren't we?
Yes, at least the first real one, because we should broadcast the first one, GT Sport, but we have problems. Today I think everything went much better. There were problems. I think you can maybe will notice some strange things, some parts, but satisfied with what we did. Hope was fun for teammates of people racing and for spectators.
So, my co-commentators, David Garcia and Mikael Helen, one last impression for you, sorry, not for you, but from you before we leave the broadcast tonight. Maybe an outlook for the next race.
Yeah, I think maybe the next few races is going to be more or less like this one. We have a great bunch of drivers in top, and I think it's going to be quite hard fights through the whole series, actually.
Thank you very much, Mikael. And David, are you still with us? What's your impression for the upcoming races?
Yeah, sure. Well, we have different points for the coming races, Eckhart. To start, I think we are still waiting for a surprise in the Super Pole qualification system. So I think that it is possible, especially in the wet races, to have some surprises during the qualifying and maybe have some non-common teams at the top spots. And well, in A1 ring in Austria, it will be a very cool race with especially that corners in downhill, uphill. It will be very, very cool to watch the fights we have seen today in that circuit.
Yeah, I agree with you there. A1 ring, I personally hate it, but it's always nice to watch battles there with these two very strange 90-degree turns that make for some good braking maneuvers and some good fighting. So folks, see you next week. This was your friendly voice, Eckhart von Glan, for STC Racing. Thank you very much, all the staff, for putting this up, for making this possible, and thank you to all the racers for showing us a great race. See you next week in the GT Sports at the A1 ring. Bye-bye.
Kiitos ja terveisiä äitille.